where the moon lights.
An excellent day for an exorcism.
I'm your number one fan.
Hey up and welcome back to Rate Scary. I am back again with another bonus episode because I have seen yet another new release at the cinema, and this time I want to talk about Presents. So like I said, this is in addition to the normal deep dive into the subgenres that I do, and anytime we get a theatrical release of a film, I am going to try and do an episode where we do a full spoiler in detail review of that film. So this is my warning, spoilers ahead. If you have not seen Presents from 2025, please save this video unless you want to spoil it for yourself and come back once you have seen it.
You have a presence here.
Presents is the latest supernatural thriller drama, not a horror, from Steven Soderbergh, and this is shot from the perspective of a ghost, a presence. We open with a camera panning around a house, very sadly moving from room to room, and then we see an estate agent entering the property, and the presence follows her throughout the house. And not long after, she welcomes in a family of four, where we see Mother Rebecca, Father Chris, son Tyler, and daughter Chloe. Now, Rebecca is super impressed with the house, and she tells Chris that it would be perfect, especially given its proximity to the school that she wants her son Tyler to go to. And just as Chris is starting to share some concerns of how close it is going to be to some sort of an emergency station, meaning lots of sirens, Rebecca completely blanks that out, goes to the realtor, tells her that they will take it, brokers the deal, and then we see a series of scenes in very short succession. So the next one we see is painters and decorators arriving at the property before the family moves in, and one of the decorators is completely refusing to go in the room where the presence is, and then we see that the family has finally moved in, and the following scenes really establish this family dynamic for us. So we go from scenes where we see, for example, Rebecca, the mother, out on the front porch taking a work phone call, suggesting that maybe she's in some sort of bother, and suggested to me some sort of financial fraud that she's been involved in. And then we also see Chris making phone calls out on the back porch, suggesting that he is considering leaving her. So we've already got this picture painted that this is not a happy family. Tyler, the son, is a star athlete, and Rebecca clearly very much favours him over daughter Chloe. Meanwhile, Father Chris is definitely more concerned for Chloe, who has recently lost her best friend, one of two girls in the local community who has died in their sleep, of which Tyler, her brother, dismisses as drug addicts and suggests that maybe they deserve their fate. We quickly see that Chloe can sense this presence and believes that it could be her recently passed friend, Nadia. She tells her family this, and Tyler gets angry at her, believing that she is trying to embarrass him, and Rebecca seems pretty much disinterested. But Chris, her father, believes her. He doesn't understand it, but he supports her and what she is going through. We then see Tyler bringing home a newfound friend, Ryan, and we get the impression that Ryan is attracted to Chloe, so they end up hanging out together, getting high, and discussing loss and grief. And in this process, he tells her that she is in control of their relationship, including when they will be intimate together. But when in later scenes, when they do become intimate, the present knocks over a shelf in Chloe's closet, and when they have sex, we see the presence almost cowering in the cupboard, not wanting to leave, but still feeling embarrassed about the entire situation. And shortly after this, we see Ryan bringing Chloe a drink which has been spiked with some sort of drug, and the presence knocks this over before Chloe can drink it. We then see Tyler telling his mother about an awful prank that he and his friends have played on a girl at school, where they have tricked her into sending some sort of an intimate photo of herself. And shortly after this, the presence, after hearing this story, shoots up the stairs into Tyler's room, trashing it, which reveals its existence to the rest of the family who did not believe Chloe. At this point, they decide to contact the realtor to find out, has someone died in this house? But she assures them that she has a legal obligation to tell them, but she has a medium friend who she can send round and suss out if there is something in the house. The medium attends the house and immediately senses the presence there, and she realizes that Chloe can also sense it, citing that trauma can open some sort of a metaphysical door. She states that the presence is in the house for a reason, and that time moves very differently on this plane, suggesting that the presence can move through the past, present, and future. But she warns the family that the presence is here to prevent a future event, something to do with a window that doesn't open. We then cut to Rebecca getting ready to go away on a business trip, which her husband Chris is joining her for. And Chloe and Ryan put together a little bit of a plan to be able to spend the night together without Chloe's parents being there while they're away. But there is just one issue. Tyler will also be there. Ryan tells her, don't worry about it, he's going to take care of it. So the time comes when the parents have gone on their trip. Ryan comes round to the house, and very quickly we see him spike a drink for Tyler and drug him, leaving him asleep in the living room, before he heads upstairs with another spiked drink for Chloe. Now, Chloe's clearly been doing some reflecting, and she tells Ryan that she doesn't wish to take their relationship any further, but he manipulates her into comforting him and just sitting and talking on the bed. She then consumes the drink, leaving her drugged and unable to move. While this is happening, Ryan places cellophane over her mouth and nose, periodically and repeatedly cutting off her air supply, playing with how much control he has over her. And he admits that he killed her friend Nadia, making it look like an overdose, and he killed the other girl too. The presence is witnessing all of this, and it rushes downstairs and frantically wakes up Tyler. Tyler manages to wake up amongst all of this, realizes that something is wrong. He runs upstairs, he tackles Ryan, and he throws them both through a window, killing them both. Now, the final scenes show the family moving out of what is now an empty house. And before leaving, Rebecca is stood at the window and senses the presence, following it to the mirror where she sees Tyler's reflection and breaks down, screaming that it was Tyler all along. Having fulfilled its purpose, the presence, Tyler, leaves, and so does the family. Now, I saw this film, it's 4 days ago now that I watched this film, and I have not stopped thinking about it since. But before I get into my review, I wanted to cover off some of the characters because we have got quite a tight-knit cast in there, and I thought they all gave fantastic performances. So we'll start off with the mother, Rebecca, who is played by Lucy Liu. Now, this is someone who is narcissistic, controlling, almost bordering on a slightly Freudian relationship with her son, it seems, and almost has slight resentment at her daughter too. We then have Chris, who is the father, played by Chris Sullivan, who is fantastic, and I think he completely stole the show. He's caring, he's empathetic, he's completely tuned into the needs of his family, very much a strong but silent type. I had a lot of love for Chris in this film. We have Tyler, who is played by Eddie Madej. He's very much a jock kind of personality. He's the eldest child. He definitely seeks recognition from his parents and those around him, which is reflected in the people he becomes friends with. And then we have Chloe, who is played by Kalina Liang, who is also empathetic, very in tune with her own emotions, but she's also isolated and really struggling with this grief of losing her friend. And then lastly, a person worth mentioning is Ryan, who is played by Wes Mulholland, completely controlling, I would say psychopathic, but very charming and manipulative. And I liked that his character was thrown in there as a contrast to the others. We have quite a lot of different themes that operate throughout this film as well. One of the biggest ones is this family dynamic, because we clearly have a very fractured family. We have lots of different personality types going on, some closer bonds than others, and each of them spend time isolated from each other. They're not really coming together as a family. And when they do come together, like when they're having dinner, there are arguments, stuff explodes, personalities clash, and there are disagreements. And we see that Chloe and Tyler do not have a close relationship. Chris and Rebecca are clearly having issues. Rebecca focuses her attention on her son rather than her daughter. And Chris just seems to be the cornerstone of the family, literally trying to hold it all together to the point where he's even ordering burritos for everyone so that then they can at least eat together. Not so much a theme, but a plot line that we see in the film, which I heard some people as I was exiting the cinema talking about, and it's certainly something that me and my friend talked about as we were leaving the cinema, is some of the phone calls that take place during the film. So we first of all see Rebecca taking a phone call on the porch near the beginning of the film, and the conversation alludes to her potentially committing some kind of financial fraud at work. And the conversations that she has with Tyler tell him that he will understand the feeling of being willing to do anything for someone that you love, even if it was wrong. It would have been the right thing to do in that moment, suggesting that maybe that is something that she has done. Because we also see her deleting emails and concealing her laptop screen from her husband. Sketchy behavior. But we then see Chris taking a phone call on the back porch, asking some sort of buddy or acquaintance who is in the legal area, asking them about legalities and whether a spouse would be convicted if the other half had done something illegal, and whether that would still be true if they were legally separated, showing that he is thinking of leaving Rebecca because he knows that she has done something illegal. And that just made me think on reflection, like the very first conversations that we have on screen, we see that Rebecca is completely obsessed with this house and the fact that it's come on the market and it falls in the catchment area for the school that she wants her son Tyler to go to. So has she committed some sort of financial fraud in order to get the money for the house that would enable Tyler to go to the school? And I think all of this, these phone calls that take place, serve to show us that there are even deeper cracks within the family than what we just see when they are together. And the presence can see and hear all of this. Then, in addition to this problematic family dynamic that we then have the friend Tyler. Then added into this problematic family dynamic that we have the friend thrown in, Ryan. He's friends with Tyler, and then when he sees Chloe, he immediately suggests to Tyler that he's interested in her. And we see this controlling behavior. He's obsessed with control. He talks to Chloe about control all of the time and what control he has over Chloe in that awful moment where he's put cellophane over her mouth and she cannot breathe. And I think control is definitely a theme that we see throughout the film, not just through Ryan, but generally regarding this entire situation and a lack of control. I do also want to talk about the presence, because at the end of the film, we find out that the presence was Tyler all along. And the medium told us that where the presence exists, time works differently. The presence can move through the past, the present, and the future. And after reflecting on the film, there are definitely suggestions throughout that it was Tyler the whole time. You know, the way that the presence is very caring for Chloe, it packs away her schoolwork, her books, it shows a real sense of care for her. The way that it continually sticks around when she's with Ryan, but will look away or intervene when she's intimate with him, suggesting embarrassment, but also not able to leave through concern. And the way that it also trashes Tyler's room when he recalls that story about pranking the girl at school, suggesting rage, a level of embarrassment about that situation. Because we also see Chris, the father, telling Tyler, there is a great man inside of you. He just needs to come out. I think there is definitely also a theme here, an obvious one of grief and loss and mental health. You know, we have Chloe experiencing the loss of her friends through Ryan's actions and how she's coming to terms with this and how her grief is not only impacting her and her part in the family, but how her grief is affecting the family as a whole. We also have substance use and misuse, because not just the drugs, but we see Rebecca continually drinking throughout. We also see Chris having a dinner alone and he is downing a glass of wine, clearly stressed. And that has an effect on the children because they are very comfortable when the parents aren't around to go into that alcohol cabinet and take a drink from it. And Chloe is very comfortable in using drugs recreationally with Ryan. But I think the biggest theme from all of this that I took away, and is the one that I have reflected on the most, is that of fate and purpose. Because the presence cannot prevent things from happening. It cannot interject in a major way, but it has a clear purpose, like the medium said. Now, this is clearly a family, like I said, that has been struggling to come together. It's had problems before they've even encountered this presence. And if the mother, Rebecca, wasn't so hell-bent on ensuring that Tyler gets into the right school, then they probably never would have bought that house. And if they hadn't have bought that house, Tyler would have never met Ryan. And if he hadn't have met Ryan, Ryan wouldn't have met Chloe. And then he wouldn't have tried to kill her, meaning Tyler wouldn't have had to have given his life to save his sisters. So maybe Tyler's purpose in all of this isn't just to save Chloe, but it is to bring the family together as a whole. Because in my own experience with loss in a family, it can go one of two ways. It can either bring people closer together or it can drive them further apart. I lost my mum nearly 13 years ago when I was 23. Our family was super, super, super close. And losing her could have driven a huge wedge between our family, between my sister or between my dad, because she was the one that held us all together. And instead, it brought me and my sister much closer together. And it brought me and my dad much closer together. And I couldn't help, when watching Presents, to think of my mum and what was the purpose of her death. And the biggest thing that I've reflected on, and I'm trying not to get upset when I talk about it, and it's the thing that has upset me when reflecting on it, is has she been a presence in my life after her death, providing some sort of a guiding hand in the decisions that I've made and the actions that I've taken, but maybe I haven't realized at the time because I'm not a religious person by any means. I would probably describe myself as agnostic, if anything. But I'm also not a non-believer. And I think the thing that this film has done has made me question things continually and think about things continually since seeing it. And I cannot help but get emotional over it. And I think that is testament to how well written this film is. Speaking of which, the writing I think is fantastic. It's written by David Koepp. He wrote Jurassic Park. He wrote Jurassic Park Lost World, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Spider-Man from 2002, Angels and Demons, Secret Window, Stir of Echoes. He is a fantastic, fantastic writer. And him paired with Steven Soderbergh, who directed Erin Brockovich, the Ocean's 11 franchise, Contagion, one of my secret favorite films, Behind the Candelabra. Really randomly, he did the Magic Mike films. He's an amazing director, very diverse in his film choices. And I think that's reflected in the fact that he's been nominated 14 times for Academy Awards and won 5. The pair of them together, I feel, have created something exceptionally beautiful. Steven Soderbergh often uses very distinctive cinematography, very unconventional methods. He has multi-dimensional plot lines. He has twists in his plot. He does non-linear storytelling. And that is exactly what we get with Presence. Unfortunately, I think you are going to see mixed reviews on this film, and my view would be don't listen to the extreme ends of the scale when it comes to reviewers, because you will have some people telling you that this is terrifying and this is the scariest ghost story ever, much like the way in which Neon has, I feel, mistakenly advertised, marketed this film, because this is not a horror film and you will not get scares. But you will then also have people who will say that the film was dull and boring. And I'd say don't listen to them either, because they were probably expecting the scary horror ghost film that Neon have sold to them, and it's not their fault. But they then refuse to appreciate what the film actually is, because this is a beautiful portrayal of loss and purpose. It's well paced. It's only 85 minutes long. It's beautifully shot, and it'll make you question things. And I think it'll hit harder for people like myself who have experienced loss. So I personally loved it. Like I said, I have not stopped thinking about this film. I feel like I am going to have to watch it again, especially knowing that Tyler was the presence all along. And bringing myself to see that very end scene when Rebecca realizes that it was him all along had me in tears right at the end of the film. And I am willing to be put through that again. That is how good this film is. Please let me know in the comments of this episode what you thought about Presence if you have seen it. Like I said, I think this is going to be a very divisive film, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I have also recently been to see Companion, so you can, in the next few days, expect a little review of that. I had a blast while watching it, and I cannot wait to talk about that one either. But for now, see thee with thee sen, I'll see thee soon.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
I'll be right back.
Game over. It's all for you.
Beware the moonlights.
An excellent day for an exorcism.
I'm your number one